The April 6th, 2026 Troy City Council meeting. We ask that you silence your cell phones for the duration of the meeting. Tonight's invocation and pledge will be led by Mrs. Snee. Please stand.
Please join me in prayer. Gracious God, we meet together today as colleagues with a common goal of continued service to the citizens of our community. Help us to use our knowledge, reason, and skills to both listen and take action effectively. As we marvel at the current exploration of astronauts and their amazing view of our world, we echo the recent words of Pope Leo to our world. Let us abandon every desire for conflict, domination, and power, and implore the Lord to grant his peace to a world ravaged by wars. We pray for peace, and we also pray for those who protect our nation, our state, and our community by serving in our military and protective services. We give thanks for all people who work in public service, especially those who work in our city. Recognizing that we live in challenging times, we give thanks for this opportunity to gather together where we can reinforce our community principles of openness and engagement for all people. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mrs. Knight, when you're ready, could you please call the roll?
Mr. Twiss.
Here.
Mr. Sievert.
Present.
Mr. Wooden.
Here.
Mrs. Snee.
Here.
Mr. Phillips.
Present.
Mrs. Westfall.
Here.
Ms. Hickman.
Here.
Mrs. Marshall. Mr. Schilling.
Motion
to excuse Mrs. Marshall.
Second.
Motion to excuse Mrs. Marshall by Mr. Phillips, second by Mr. Twiss. Mrs. Knight, please call the roll.
Mr. Sievert.
Yes.
Mr. Wooden.
Yes.
Mrs. Snee.
Yes.
Mr. Phillips.
Yes.
Mrs. Westfall.
Yes.
Ms. Hickman.
Yes.
Mr. Twiss.
Yes.
Mrs. Marshall is excused.
Motion to excuse Mr. Schilling.
Second.
Motion to excuse Mr. Schilling by Mr. Whidden, second by Mr. Twiss. Mrs. Knight, please call the roll.
Mr. Wooden.
Yes.
Mrs. Snee.
Yes.
Mr. Phillips.
Yes.
Mrs. Westfall.
Yes.
Ms. Hickman.
Yes.
Mr. Twiss.
Yes.
Mr. Sievert.
Yes.
Mr. Schilling is excused.
Thank you. Mrs. Knight, would you please read the summary of the minutes of March 16th council meeting, please?
Minutes of Council, March 16, 2026. Committee reports. Buildings and Utilities Committee recommended legislation be prepared for a contract for a portable generator for the wastewater treatment plant. Community Partnerships Committee recommended legislation be prepared authorizing notwithstanding legislation associated with a Troy Truck Yard event for May 8, 2026. Finance Committee recommended that legislation be prepared declaring certain items as surplus and authorizing their sale. Committee recommended that legislation be prepared to accept the recommendations of the Tax Incentive Review Council regarding continuation of the Enterprise Zone Agreements and the Troy Town Park TIF. Committee also recommended a settlement with Jessica Nielsen. Law and Ordinance Committee recommended that legislation be prepared regarding the continued operation of the DORA, authorizing an application related to the DORA, also authorizing activation of the temporary DORA activation boundary for the concert on June 6th, and also of the temporary boundary associated with concerts in July, and also recommended agreements related to the use of the stadium for the June 6th concert and use of county safety building area for July concerts. Personnel Committee recommended appointments of Paul Davis to the Income Tax Board of Review, and also appointments of Michael Rendell to the CIC and to the Economic Development Loan Committee, and those appointments were approved. Streets and Sidewalks Committee recommended that legislation be prepared accepting the dedication of right-of-way at 1375 South Union Street as recommended by the Planning Commission. And finally, the Committee of the Whole recommended that the rules of council be approved, and those rules were approved. Resolution number R 2020-26, contract bidding for a generator, was given first reading and adopted. Resolution number R 21-26, accepting recommendations of Tax Incentive Review Council regarding enterprise zones, was given first reading and adopted. Resolution number R 22-26, accepting recommendations of Tax Incentive Review Council regarding the Troy Town Park TIF, was given first reading and adopted. Resolution number R 23-2026, accepting settlement for Jessica Nielsen, was given first reading and was adopted. Ordinance number 08-2026, authorizing use of certain public property related to the Troy Truck Yard event, was given first reading and adopted. Ordinance number 09-2026, authorizing the sale of surplus property, was given first reading and adopted. Ordinance number 010-2026, accepting a replat for the dedication of right-of-way, was given first reading and adopted. Ordinance number 011-2026, amending the DORA area, was given first reading and was adopted. Ordinance number 012-2026, the 5-year review and continuation of the DORA, was given first reading and adopted. Ordinance number 013-2026, permitting use of certain property in the DORA area for the concert on June 6, 2026, was given first reading and adopted. That was also for the concerts in July. Ordinance number 014-2026, authorizing agreements with the Troy City Schools related to concerts and with the Board of County Commissioners related to concerts being held at their property, was given first reading and was adopted. Following various comments, there was also a presentation regarding animal control by Captain Burnside of the Police Department. Council then adjourned at 7:56.
Move to accept the minutes as read.
Second.
Motion to accept the minutes by Mr. Twist, second by Mr. Phillips. Mrs. Knight, please call the roll.
Mrs. Snee,
Yes.
Mr. Phillips,
Yes.
Mrs. Westphal,
Yes.
Ms. Hickman,
Yes.
Mr. Twist,
Yes.
Mr. Sievert,
Yes.
Mr. Whidden.
Yes.
Minutes are approved.
Thank you. A few committee reports tonight. We'll start with Law and Ordinance and Mr. Twist.
Thank you, Mr. President. Committee members, myself and Schilling met March 30th to consider authorizing the Director of Law to act as an agent related to the annexation of 2674 Swales Road. The annexation of this parcel would create a cleaner demarcation of future service responsibilities between the city and Concord Township. The owners of the property agreed to annexation with the city handling the process on their behalf. It is the recommendation of this committee that legislation be prepared authorizing the Director of Law to act as the agent for the property owners to commence the process for the annexation of parcel number C06-009800, a 162.72 acre parcel at 2674 Swales Road. This is submitted by Christy Marshall, myself, and the chair, Jeffrey Schilling.
Any questions, concerns on that one? And you have an oral report, correct?
I do. I have a liquor permit notice. The Ohio Division of Liquor Control has transmitted a notice of application for a new D5 and D5I permits for the SB Troy Hospitality LLC, 845 West Market Street. This is the location of a former Mexican restaurant. The owner applicant is Steve Bruns, and the police department has not recommended an objection or hearing request be filed.
Questions on that? We have no resolutions tonight, but before that, we will have citizen comments on anything that's on our agenda.
Mr. President.
Yes, sir.
We have
Oh, shoot, you get 2 more reports. My bad. I'm just trying to get you out of here quick, Bobby.
There you go.
Mr. Phillips, Streets and Sidewalks.
We do appreciate that, too. We have 2 items tonight from Streets and Sidewalks Committee. First is an ordinance of assessment, South Stanfield Road Reconstruction Project Phase 2. The committee members, Mr. Schilling and myself, met March 30 to consider the ordinance of assessment related to the replacement of sidewalks on a shared use path with the South Stanfield Road Reconstruction Project Phase 2. This project is complete, and the next step is for council to enact the ordinance of assessment. It is the recommendation of this committee that legislation be prepared authorizing the ordinance of assessment for the South Stanfield Reconstruction Project Phase 2, sidewalks, and the shared use path. And this is respectfully submitted by Mr. Schilling, Mrs. Marshall, and myself as chair.
Any questions? Continue.
And our last item with the committee of Mr. Schilling and myself meeting March 30 to consider the ordinance of assessment for Phase 16 of the sidewalk improvement and missing gap program. The Phase 16 work has been completed for the area described in the detailed report. No objections were received from the recently published notice. The next step of the process is for council to enact the ordinance of assessment. It is the recommendation of this committee that legislation be prepared authorizing the ordinance of assessment for Phase 16 of the sidewalk improvement and missing gap program. And again, this is respectfully submitted by Mr. Schilling, Mrs. Marshall, and myself as chair.
Thank you, sir. Any questions? Now, we can get to public comments. If anybody wants to comment on anything we have on the agenda, please come forward. Name and address for the record. Mr. Cooper will be our timekeeper if we should so need one.
Hi, Matt Breen, 1435 Edinburgh Drive, Troy, Ohio. I'm interested in the rezoning of the property. It's directly down the street from where I am, and I'm wondering if there's an anticipation that that's going to be zoned for residential or some other use, or is that just as stated, strictly a change in services from the city for them?
Are you speaking of the
162
acres?
Correct.
All right, so that's not a rezoning.
Okay.
All it is an annexation, so it would be brought in at its current zoning, which is a county zoning designation.
Okay.
A rezoning would have to go through the planning commission and the council. That's an entirely separate process, so that's not on the agenda tonight.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks. Anyone else? Having no resolutions, we will move to ordinances. Mrs. Knight, could you please read ordinance O-15-2026, please?
Ordinance number O-15-2026, ordinance levying assessments for sidewalk construction, repair, and shared use path as part of the South Stanfield Road Reconstruction Project Phase 2. This will allow for a return of about $165,710 to the city. This is the first reading.
Move to suspend.
Second.
Motion to suspend by Mr. Twist, second by Mr. Sievert. Mrs. Knight, please call the roll.
Mr. Phillips,
Yes.
Mrs. Westfall,
Yes.
Ms. Hickman,
Yes.
Mr. Twist,
Yes.
Mr. Sievert,
Yes.
Mr. Whidden,
Yes.
Mrs. Snee.
Yes.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Motion to adopt by Mr. Twist, seconded by Mr. Sievert. Mrs. Knight, please call the roll.
Mrs. Westfall,
Yes.
Ms. Hickman,
Yes.
Mr. Twist,
Yes.
Mr. Sievert,
Yes.
Mr. Whidden,
Yes.
Mrs. Snee,
Yes.
Mr. Phillips.
Yes.
Ordinance is adopted.
Mrs. Knight, could you read ordinance O-16-2026, please?
Ordinance number O-16-2026, ordinance levying assessments for Phase 16 of the Sidewalk Improvement and Missing Gap Program. This will return about $76,775 to the city through the process. This is the first reading.
Move to suspend.
Second.
Motion to suspend the readings by Mr. Twist, second by Mr. Phillips. Mrs. Knight, please call the roll.
Ms. Hickman,
Yes.
Mr. Twist,
Yes.
Mr. Sievert,
Yes.
Mr. Whidden,
Yes.
Mrs. Snee,
Yes.
Mr. Phillips,
Yes.
Mrs. Westfall.
Yes.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Motion to adopt by Mr. Twist, second by Mrs. Snee. Mrs. Knight, please call the roll.
Mr. Twist,
Yes.
Mr. Sievert,
Yes.
Mr. Whidden,
Yes.
Mrs. Snee,
Yes.
Mr. Phillips,
Yes.
Mrs. Westfall,
Yes.
Ms. Hickman.
Yes.
Ordinance is adopted.
Moving on. Mrs. Knight, could you please read ordinance O-17-2026?
Ordinance number 017, 2026. Ordinance authorizing the Director of Law of the City of Troy, Ohio, to be the agent for the property owners for the annexation of parcel number C06009800, a 162.72 acre parcel at 2674 Swells Road to the City of Troy, Ohio. This is the first reading.
Move to suspend.
Second.
Motion to suspend, Mr. Twist, second by Ms. Madison. Hickman, please call the roll. I'll get it right before you get married.
Mr. Sievert,
Yes.
Mr. Whidden,
Yes.
Mrs. Snee,
Yes.
Mr. Phillips,
Yes.
Mrs. Westphal,
Yes.
Ms. Hickman,
Yes.
Mr. Twist.
Yes. Move to adopt. Second.
Motion to adopt, excuse me, by Mr. Twist, seconded by Mr. Sievert. Mrs. Knight, please call the roll.
Mr. Whidden,
Yes.
Mrs. Snee,
Yes.
Mr. Phillips,
Yes.
Mrs. Westphal,
Yes.
Ms. Hickman,
Yes.
Mr. Twist,
Yes.
Mr. Sievert.
Yes.
Ordinance is adopted.
Thank you very much. That conducts business, and we have a presentation up next on Mrs. Ginger Clark from the Greater Miami River.
Good evening, Mayor Oda and members of the council. Thank you for having me here. The Great Miami Riverway grew out of a recognition that our 99-mile river corridor is one of the most significant natural and recreational assets in western Ohio. What began as a vision for connecting communities along the Great Miami River has grown into a coalition of more than 20 cities, counties, park districts, and regional agencies working together. In 2019, the Great Miami River was designated a national water trail, one of only a handful in the country, putting our region on the map for paddlers and outdoor recreation enthusiasts nationwide. Our mission is building a strong, vibrant network of communities connected by 99 miles of river by increasing economic and community investment to attract more visitors, customers, jobs, and talented workers to Southwest Ohio. For this 5-year period, we have focused on 4 strategic priorities. First, building the identity and awareness of the Great Miami Riverway, making sure people in our region and beyond know what we have here. Second, advocating and nurturing connections between our Riverway communities, because we're stronger when we work together across county and city lines. And third, building investment and riverfront development along the river and in our communities. I provided you with a copy of our economic impact of tourism report. In 2023, the Riverway's impact was $1.2 billion on Southwest Ohio. We're currently in contract with Oxford Economics to do another analysis for 2025, and we're excited to see how those numbers have grown. And fourth priority is restructuring the Riverway Coalition and broadening our funding platform, making sure this partnership is sustainable for the long haul. I want to take a moment to thank the City of Troy specifically. Troy has been a foundational member of the Great Miami Riverway Coalition from the beginning. You contributed to the Army Corps of Engineers study that was our launching point, and to our branding package. Also, your investment in riverfront parks, trail infrastructure, and downtown connectivity to the riverfront sets you as a real example to the entire corridor. The kind of sustained commitment from local leadership is what makes a regional coalition like ours work. We don't succeed without cities like Troy showing up year after year, so thank you so much for your continued support. We quite literally would not exist without you. I'd love to invite all of you to our annual Riverway Summit. It travels around to a different Riverway community each year, and this year, in just a couple weeks away, on April 24th at the Fitton Center for Creative Arts in Hamilton, we will be having this year's summit, and the theme is Reimagining Riverway. It's a chance to connect with leaders from across the corridor, hear about what's working, and help shape the future of this partnership. We'd love to see Troy represented. In fact, your own Tim Davis will be presenting in one of our sessions, so thank you, Tim. And thank you again for your time and your continued support. I'm happy to answer any questions right now. No questions? Okay.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you for your time.
Thank you.
Any announcements or?
No, sir.
No announcements. Comments? Mayor?
Just welcome to the Leadership Troy group that's here tonight. Would you guys all stand? There's a good crew of you here tonight. Thank you. And then I'm going to ask Cameron Smith to stand back up. So this gentleman and his family saved Christmas 2 years ago.
Yeah.
When the tree came down, their tree was on site within a matter of hours, and it was quite an experience, wasn't it? You're welcome. Thank you. That's it.
Director of Public Service and Safety, Mr. Titterton.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just several random announcements. Spring cleanup started today. That's the residential program where we relax the rules related to refuse, brush, and I guess recycling as well. We'll certainly always take more recycling. That'll go on this week. We've noticed that we're having some participants, especially from Saturday when it was actually kind of nice outside.
A lot of participants in Westbrook.
That's good to know. Second thing is, you may have noticed that the playground equipment, the new playground equipment, is being installed at Duke Park. We are doing our level best to get the word out that once it gets done, you still won't be able to use it for a little while because you're not allowed to until we have a surface in place. That's lagging a little bit, but hopefully by the end of the month we will have that installed. We did open bids and got some very competitive bids. I believe we've awarded, I don't know if I signed that one or not yet, but the turf provider. So it's a matter of getting the recognition on the turf, having that, they tell me it's a fairly quick manufacturing process, and then an install will be a couple of weeks, and then it'll be officially open for business. We also, if you recall, we bid not only the Duke Park, but also Community Park at the same time. That project won't be until the fall, but we got a good bid on that turf as well, so we're real happy with that. We've had some questions, and we just had the park board meeting this afternoon, and the park superintendent mentioned we've been getting some calls asking about some water fountains and when we'll be able to open the taps, particularly at the dog park. We wanted to do it last week. The forecast, as you know, if you were up early enough this morning, was frosty. Tomorrow is supposed to be the same way. We're hopeful that we will be open those up, turn those on, maybe by the end of the week, early next week, because hopefully the temperatures are going to stay above 20 degrees 24/7. The final thing is that we submitted the DORA application that you voted on last 2 Mondays ago, and we were approved. It was a very quick approval. So the expansion of the map, that will go into effect April 16th because that's the 30 days, and we did not do anything by emergency there. And so once that is effective, then we will update the map online. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Auditor, Mr. Frigge.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have nothing at this time.
How about the Law Director, Mr. Kerber?
Mr. President, I have nothing to add as well.
Okay, other than your new edition that you sent out to everybody, right?
That's correct.
Okay. Let's just stay there and we'll go around with Mr. Twist.
Nothing to add.
Mr. Phillips.
Congratulations to all of the law enforcement folks that got their awards at the APAC this last week. It's a very prestigious thing to be recognized by your agency or your city or county, whichever one you work for. And while I was gone, I got to attend my son's appreciation dinner, and he also got a huge award from the chief this year. So I was very proud of him, just from my personal standpoint and for all the law enforcement in the county, because it represents my profession. And a question that kind of rose in my head after the Artemis launch, and this afternoon when I was listening to some news, I was wondering how those astronauts cash in their frequent flyer miles.
Just hold their
They're going to have a bunch.
They sold their record.
They're going to hold a bunch. Thank you.
Ms. Hickman.
I got to attend the Troy Main Street Awards the other week, I think now. And just wanted to congratulate our maintenance staff. They won a Cut Above award. So I think everybody is appreciative of them. I think they do a lot more work than what we realize. And also, they got second place in trivia night, so they're also pretty smart. That's all.
Mr. Whitten.
Question for the Service and Safety Director. There is a section of road on Stony Ridge that had some work done to it. I want to guess maybe January-ish. We have a timeline for when that will be able to be repaved.
I know we have several patches that we've got to fix, mostly because of water main breaks over the winter. We have a list. I am not aware that the asphalt plants are open yet, but typically what we will do is when they open, we get on it as quickly as possible.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a couple of other ones that are high on the list as well.
Well, those aren't in my neighborhood, so.
No.
That's all. Thank you.
All right. Mrs. Westfall.
Thank you, Mr. President. I wanted to take a moment also to recognize the fire and police that were recognized. My husband and I were there, and it was really an honor to see them receive their awards and be recognized. We're grateful for their example and the safety they provide for every single resident in our whole community. I also want to thank the director of the CIC Metropolitan Housing, Andrea Beach. She sent a letter to all the council members and staff, several staff members, our mayor. Her recent letter expressed interest in two important properties in Troy, Haywood and Kyle Schools. As we all know, our community is in real need of additional housing, especially for our seniors. The possibility of repurposing these buildings into senior housing is a meaningful opportunity that deserves thoughtful consideration. And she had mentioned that she would like to get an architect in there. I'd like to know when they would be able to get in there to assess those buildings. And then lastly, I want to remind everybody that early voting starts tomorrow, and that is a real privilege our community and our country deserves, and your voices need to be heard and to stay engaged in your community. So when will an architect be allowed into the schools? Do we know?
Is that a school question, or
Yeah, I mean,
what is the relationship we have with them right now?
Okay, so I don't really want to get into a debate about too much tonight, just to, remind everyone that the contract has been signed with the schools. Those properties are slated to be demolished by the schools before they are, the title is transferred to the CIC. In the meantime, however, the Section 8, the Metro organization they've already toured Kyle. Did that last week, I guess? Yeah, early last week. Not scheduled anything at Haywood. Haywood's a little bit more complicated, but they do seem to be. Why?
Yeah, why is it more complicated?
Because we have a major infrastructure project that we need to do where we're going to have to straighten out Ridge and the intersection at Ridge and McCaig.
Why do we have
when
to
we
straighten
do
that out?
I'm sorry?
Why do we have to straighten that out if it's no longer a school? Won't even be as busy?
Because it's still a heavily traveled road, and
Right.
it does have two stop signs back to back. It is not a well-engineered intersection at all. So once we move that and we straighten that out, then we wipe out two very important needed ball fields, because even if we redesign Duke Park, we're not going to gain any ball fields over what would be transferred over from Newb. And those two are very important practice fields and smaller kid fields over at Haywood. So there's just a lot more. There's a lot more to be done, and we've got to do some updating of the designs. That's going to be a future OPWC, Ohio Public Works Commission, grant funding to help with that project, although we anticipate it's not going to be a cheap intersection improvement. And there are some challenges with that building that we know from talking to the schools would make it extremely expensive to try to rehab and retrofit that.
Well, and I personally don't think it's our decision to decide how much somebody wants to spend on it. And when was the decision made to straighten the road?
Oh, that's been a discussion for 5 to 10 years.
Okay. And
That predates, it was back with Mayor
will that
Nish.
come before the council at any time?
Yes, it will.
Mr. Frege, you got comments on that?
No, I'm good.
Done?
I believe so.
Mrs. Snee?
I don't have any comments this evening. Thank you.
Mr. Sievert?
Thank you. I also commented on the letter last time, so I appreciate Ms. Blisswell bringing that to the attention again. There's a definition of success is defined a bunch of different ways. Some people with money, some people with fame. Some people define success as doing what you love to the best of your ability. And the person who embodied that was Nancy Bowman, and I am sad to comment tonight. I sat many nights, both in my first term at council when we sat down on the floor and up here in the dais with Nancy in the chairs behind us, and she was a fantastic person, and she will be sorely missed. So our condolences to Ms. Bowman on her passing. Second, to the leadership, Troy. 32 years ago, I think, Kathy might be able to validate that. I sat in those chairs, and now 32 years later, I'm sitting still at council meetings, and but it's a great experience. My daughter's done it. I've done it. I'm sure most of the people on council have done it. Enjoy it. We're a wonderful community, and it's a great opportunity. And thank you to you for taking the time, and your employers for allowing you to have the time to become vested in our community. It truly, we are blessed by the many, many amenities that we have to offer, including that. So with that, that's all I have today, Mr. President.
Thank you. Once again, Chief McKinney and all the other ones that got awards, congratulations. Welcome to Leadership Troy. I do have a question on the stuff we passed tonight. The GAP 16, is that the only GAP sidewalk that's on the agenda for this year, on the program for this year? Is that a Tim question, a Gil question, or?
No, we've started looking into another phase.
Okay. And then I apologize to Mr. Brendel. We kind of cut him off last time. If he wanted to come up and say anything, we will give him that opportunity tonight. Other than that, we will open it up to public comments on anything you would like to talk about. Please come forward, name and address.
Good evening. Chris Manning, Vice President of the Troy Historic Preservation Alliance, 6 Lafayette Street, Casstown. I am here this evening to provide council with an update about the proposed expansion of the Public Square National Register Historic District, which was originally listed in the National Register in 1975, or more than 50 years ago. Why we propose an update and expansion. Listing on the National Register of Historic Places is an honor that comes with certain potential benefits to property owners, including access to state and federal historic preservation tax credits, preservation grants, and an increase in property values. When the district was first listed in 1975, only buildings constructed before 1925 were eligible, basically buildings that were more than 50 years old. This did not include Kay's Diner, believe it or not, because it was too new in 1975. So since 1975, a lot of buildings in the downtown area have become eligible for listing on the National Register. We're looking to expand those boundaries, primarily along the main corridors of Main and Market Streets, to include such iconic buildings as the Masonic Lodge, City Hall, and the Moeller Brew Barn. The boundaries of the proposed historic district will triple the size of the district from 46 to 124 properties. The vast majority of the properties in the proposed expanded district are already within the boundaries of Troy's Historic Overlay District and subject to Planning Commission review. Unlike Troy's Historic Overlay District, listing on the National Register of Historic Places does not limit what a private property owner can do to their property, either inside or outside, including demolition. Listing on the National Register does not mean that a property owner has to open their property to the public or post a sign. Some property owners who are already listed in the existing district may not even be aware that they are located in the district because there is so little impact on property owners. Other Ohio communities have successfully listed their downtown historic districts on the National Register of Historic Places, including Piqua Caldwell Historic District, which has 294 buildings, because they recognize the benefit of listing. So what has occurred so far? THPA has been in conversations with city staff for over a year and with Troy Main Street and the Troy Foundation for nearly 5 months regarding this project. There has also been some preliminary discussions about updating the OHI forms. THPA put out an RFP and received 4 bids for the work, hired History Works LLC from the SHPO's list of qualified consultants, contracted with History Works to complete the preliminary questionnaire at a cost of $3,300 paid by THPA, and the preliminary questionnaire was completed and submitted to the State Historic Preservation Office. On March 6th, the THPA met with city staff, Troy Main Street, the State Historic Preservation Office to discuss the project and walk the proposed boundaries. At that time, slight modifications were made to the boundaries with all involved. On March 13th, revised boundaries were approved by the State Historic Preservation Office, and beginning on March 15th, plans were made with all parties involved to hold a public informational meeting. Next steps. We are planning to have a public informational meeting on Tuesday, April 28th at 6 p.m. at the Troy-Miami County Public Library to kick off National Historic Preservation Month. The State Historic Preservation Office and the consultant are planning to speak and answer questions, and we have invited the city and Troy Main Street both to participate and present about the Historic Overlay District. After that, we are planning to apply for a variety of funding opportunities, including the pipeline grant, and then we will move forward with a nomination after that, which will cost about $23,000. I would also like to point out that this gives the City of Troy an excellent opportunity to update their OHI forms. I know that's a project that has been discussed for a number of years. I know it's been at least 2 or 3 years that they've been bringing that topic up to me, and this would actually give the City of Troy to work with the same consultant that we are working with to update those OHI forms at a cost of $8,500, which is significantly less than the approximately $25,000 that they were originally looking at to update those forms. It is a slightly smaller area because, like I said, this proposed National Register district does not extend as far as the current overlay historic district, so it's a smaller amount of buildings, but it has the opportunity to provide some benefits to the city as well. So I just want to kind of present the information to you, invite you all to come out to the public information meeting this month on the 28th at 6 p.m. at the library, and if you have any questions, please send those to me. I think you guys have a packet of materials that Sue gave you that has some questions and answers. Again, if you have any questions, please feel free to email me, and we will answer those to the best of our ability. I encourage you to come out to the meeting. I encourage you to encourage your constituents to come out to the meeting because this is really just an asset for the community. There's no drawbacks to being listed on the National Register for private property owners, and so we really want to encourage the city and the community to collaborate on this project. Any questions?
Chris, can you say, when was the meeting again? April 28th?
April 28th at 6 p.m., yes.
At the library?
Correct, the basement room of the library. And the State Historic Preservation Office is going to be there. Like I said, we invited city staff in Troy Main Street. They both said they were available. I'm not sure if they're going to be able to attend. And then we also will be there as well as our consultant. So it'll be quite a large group. Yeah, because I anticipate there might be some questions about the differences between the historic districts. I think that's probably where there's a lot of confusion because we have the historic overlay district, and as we know, the property owners in the district have to go before the Planning Commission to get approval for their buildings. The National Register district, which we already have, centered on the Troy Square, does not have any sort of regulations like that. And then, of course, we have the Southwest Historic District, which is really a district in name only and doesn't have any sort of, legal boundaries. So those are the districts that we have, and there's a lot of confusion about the districts and their different roles. So I think it's really important that all organizations work together to collaborate to make sure that accurate information is getting out to the public.
I guess my only question, since I have part of the actually not the real historic district, but the Southwest Historic District in my ward. And I know I have a lot of passionate constituents as well about the historic district. So for those that maybe aren't familiar with all of it, what would be a good way to explain to them the reason that they should come to the meeting and like be invested and, you know, somebody that's not a business property owner, I guess, more so?
Well, if you're not a business property owner, but for one thing, the district actually focuses primarily on businesses, the commercial district, church buildings, civic buildings. So there's not that many residents in it because that's not where the focus is. But I would say that there really are, the benefit is primarily honorific. It's an honor to be listed on the National Register. We are actually, the existing public square district is listed at the state level of significance, which is higher than most communities. Most communities are listed at the local level of significance, and we are listed at the state level of significance. So it really is more honorific for the residents. Now, there have been some states in the past or some communities that have done tax programs and rehabilitation credits and grants for property owners, for like residential properties, but most of the tax credit programs are for income-producing properties. And that's, I know there's a tax credit at both the state and the federal level that business owners can tap into if they so desire.
Thank you.
I have one more question, Mr. Rosell.
Todd.
We'll go quick. Who is Samaria and Chani, and why are we getting an address, a letter addressed to her? Did you say that?
He's our consultant that we have hired to do the preliminary questionnaire, yes, with History Works LLC. He is who we have applied, and who we have hired to do that work.
The THPA?
Correct, to do the preliminary questionnaire. So THPA is the lead on this project. We are collaborating with Troy Main Street and the State Historic Preservation Office in the city trying to move forward with this project. And Samarin is the consultant that we have hired to do the preliminary questionnaire. The next step is the full nomination, so we haven't gotten to that part yet. That's going to be about a $23,000 project. We are looking to get that money through a series of grants.
So he's on our team, or your team?
Yeah. He's on everybody's team, yeah. And the benefit of having him, if you so desire, of having him do the OHI forms at the same time is he's already going to be out there taking photos, doing the research on each property, updating the descriptions of them. And if he's doing that work at a cost of $23,000, just to tack on the OHI forms is minimal cost since he's already going to be doing that work. And I know there's been talk for a long time about doing those OHI forms.
Mrs. Manning, can I ask him? Mrs. Westphal,
Sure.
you go first.
No, I don't have any.
I have a slightly adjacent question to this topic here, so whether you or Mr. Sudley can answer, could you provide a quick update on the Overfield Tower? And
Yes, I'd love to do that. I could do that now, or I can do that. I can come back in another meeting. It's up to you guys.
Keep going. We're here.
Okay. So, yes, I'll put my other hat on. As you may know, I am also the executive director of not the Overfield Tavern Museum. It is the Troy Historical Society now. So, in January 30th, officially, the merger was finalized between the Troy Historical Society, the Overfield Tavern Museum, and the Museum of Troy History. So, we are now one organization under the umbrella of the Troy Historical Society. So we are kind of working through that process of the merger. In the interim period, we have been working with our architects and with various consultants on the restoration of the building. We just had our historic structure report completed. That was a cost of about $60,000. Half of that was paid by a grant that we received from the Jeffries Family Foundation. I might add, because we are listed on the National Register, we were able to get that grant money, and if we had not been listed, we would not have been able to get that grant money. And so we had that historic structure report paid for. That work has been done. It is with the Jeffries Family Foundation now. We have also done extensive archaeological research on the site because it is an intact archaeological site. We have done dendrochronology to date the building, and now we are looking at applying for funding for the actual restoration. The reason that we have not launched officially our capital campaign is that we are going after a particular funding source, which is the Jeffries Family Foundation out of Wisconsin. They fund historic preservation projects of National Register listed properties in small Midwestern towns. It's very specific, and we are eligible. And so They actually have a capital campaign challenge grant that they will invite us to apply in August for that, and that will pay up to a third of the cost of restoration. So while we don't particularly like the delay of waiting until that application is, accepted, we also don't want to turn down a third of the cost of a restoration project. And the stipulation is that once we receive that grant, then we can launch our match. And so we cannot officially launch our match until then. So that's kind of why I've been holding off and doing a lot of this behind-the-scenes work. We're also working on a master plan and a strategic plan. So it's all that behind-the-scenes work taking place. Basically, we want to present to the community later this year a coherent vision for that space. How are we going to use that space? How is that space going to benefit the community? Because we don't just want it to be this static museum. We want it to be a living place. It's Troy's original gathering place. It is where, the government, the seat of government met for the county in the very first years. And so it's a very important building to the community. And we want to make sure that we're doing the best job of not just preserving the building, but making it usable to the community.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you very, very much. Welcome.
Thank you, Mr. President, for the opportunity to step forward. And a special thanks to the members of this community that have embraced me and my wife for the last 5 years and has embraced my daughters and their families as they've moved into this area. My name is Mike Brundle. I live at 450 Swales Road. I am officed at 510 West Water and working with the Troy Development Council as the interim CEO and as president of the Troy Area Chamber of Commerce. Both of those are interim. If you know good candidates to come on in a permanent position, that is really great. We have some interviews that are slated for this week, 2 candidates and then 2 coming forward after that. Upon the direction of the boards of the TDC and the Troy Area Chamber of Commerce, we are looking at making sure that our structures and processes and our roles and responsibilities are what they should be for this day and age. So part of my role initially is to make that assessment and any future recommendations for that, of which then the boards would be able to act. And I am nervous about speaking sometimes in front of esteemed groups like this. When I spoke in front of King County in Seattle as part of disaster preparedness, we devised a disaster that was the Great Ferry mishap along the shores of Puget Sound. And it wasn't 2 years later that Grey's Anatomy had that as one of the most all-time popular TV shows that they put out there. So I'm cautious about what I say. It's a privilege to be here, and thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Hi, I'm Steve Hendrickson at 975 Dickerson Drive. I'm just here need to get some information. One of the most impactful projects that's on the agenda for the city is the streetscape downtown. The latest update I got online was that the design was finished by the end of last year. This being April, I'd like to know, are we ready to go out for bids? Is the design not complete? I mean, I just want to know if there's an update that's worthwhile to talk about. It's a question, not a statement.
Yeah, to it. I took it as a question, Steve.
Oh, okay.
I was just waiting for permission. So as of last week, we're 90% engineered. They had a page turn, I believe today, which is just going through all 50 pages of every little detail, getting ready to go out to bid. We may be, no, I won't say, the next meeting you'll have something. We will be bringing it to council in May for authorization to bid, and then going through that process. So it is imminent.
Okay, but if you're saying you're gonna bring this to the council in May, we're already blocking off parts of, everything from Prouty has now gotta go to the county courthouse for entertainment and so on.
That'll be after July 4th.
Yeah, but it also
we're
seems like
anticipating that.
construction's not gonna start till late.
It will start sometime after July 4th.
Right.
Part of it will depend on what the contract, how they bid it, and what their plan of attack is. That'll be part of the evaluation process. We may find that there's a best and a lowest and best bid that anticipates maybe mobilizing and doing some lighter work, if you will, for the rest of this season, and then starting in full force January 1st or sometime after January or whenever, the weather starts to cooperate. But there may be a contractor that is, timed his schedule and it works for them to start immediately after July. We just don't know. That'll be part of the evaluation process. And of course, we'll be looking, at the quality of the contractor as well as, of course, the total cost. Yes.
That's the $64 question.
That's why I made sure I mentioned it to you.
We can fall in love with the design. The question is then, can we all afford it? So
right.
I'm concerned about, we may look at it and say, oh, just imagine that, we got inflation, so we now can't afford it. So now we're going to have to figure out how to disrupt all the downtown businesses even more than they have been, or in a piecemeal way. So let's all keep our eye on the prize, and let's make sure this thing gets done well. So it'll be a project we can all be proud of, not one we're all saying bad things about. So anyway,
Steve,
thanks
can
for
I
your question.
address that real quick, Mr. Rosenthal?
Yes, sir.
Steve, I would sort of caution you with a little bit is, if you recall at the meeting, there was a lot of support for a piecemeal approach based upon the fact that we had prior instances downtown. So I, like you, looking forward to seeing what the options are. However, you seemed a little negative on the piecemeal approach. I just wanted to remind you that there was a lot of support for going slow in a 2-year approach as opposed to shutting everything down for 1 year.
I'm not opposed to the piecemeal as long as we wind up getting the complete project done. So it all looks like it's not piecemeal. It's all part of one project.
Yeah.
What I'm concerned about is we got one contractor interprets things one way and another one that's something different. So that's something that can work out, but it doesn't happen automatically, as we all know from experience. So anyway, let's keep an eye on the prize. Thank you.
Mrs. Westfall.
And I also want to make that there is a plan set up so that all the businesses know when everything's going to happen, and a timeline, and hopefully maybe Troy Main Street sets up some kind of plan so that we can still drive businesses downtown, and I know they're trying to keep all the businesses open, and so, yeah, there's a lot to deal with.
A lot of moving pieces.
Yes.
And not all of them are going to jive as well as we'd like to. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve. Anyone else? In that case, if we have no other comments from anybody, our next meeting is April 20th, 7 p.m., right here. Thank you for coming. We are adjourned.